Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav, and in this session, we are going to learn Postman step by step from scratch. So do not worry if you are a complete beginner and you have never worked with Postman, or even if you do not know anything about APIs, you have never worked with APIs. I will start from scratch and we will go up step by step. So let us see the topics, and before we see the topics, you can follow the sessions. These all the topics I will teach you on Windows operating system, Mac or Linux, any operating system you are using, any machine you are using, you can follow them. And Postman also has a web browser app, so you can use Postman directly on your web browser. So even if you do not want to download Postman and set up on your desktop or your system, even then you can directly use Postman on the web browser like Chrome or Firefox or any web browser. Okay, so the topics are: we will first understand what is Postman. We will then create an account on Postman. We will start Postman, do the setup. Then we will understand the GUI, the features of Postman. I will give you a GUI tour and we will see the different sections of Postman. What is the header section, what is the sidebar, the builder section, the status bar, and all the features. Then we will start by creating our first API request, and here we will go step by step and learn how do we create a API request in Postman, how do we add all the components, all the sections, how do we run it, and how do we check the response and different parts of the response. And then we will see examples of a get API request. How do we create and run a get API request? How do we create and run a post API request? We will see put and patch API request examples and delete API request. Then we will move to collections. We will learn what are collections in Postman, how do we create collections, how do we manage collections, and the different features of collections in Postman. Then we will go to variables. We will learn what are variables, how do we create variables, how do we use variables, what are the different sections we can create variables, and what are the scopes of variables. Then we will look at environment. What is environment and how do we create environments in Postman? How do we use them? What is their significance and why do we use environments? Then we will see scripts in Postman. So in Postman we can do scripting with JavaScript, and there are different scripts we can use. We will see all the scripts and the different sections we can create scripts, and then we will see what are tests and how do we create tests in Postman to validate our API requests and responses. So this is what we are going to learn in this particular lecture. I will create more lectures and we will go more deeper. We will learn about debugging. We will see how do we do data-driven testing, how do we run from command line, how do we integrate with CI/CD tools, and there's so much with Postman we can do. So for this particular lecture, we will see all these topics, and we will start from scratch and go up step by step. Okay, so you can do hands-on along with me, and during the session, anytime you have any question, any doubts, you can let me know. You can send me the comments in the comment section. Also, if you find the speed of this video is slow or fast, you can always manage the speed from the settings of the player. Okay, so with this, let's get started and let us see what is Postman. So Postman is a platform for APIs, and we can use Postman to create APIs, to test APIs, to manage APIs, to do collaborations on APIs. So everything you want to do with APIs, you can do with Postman. It is a complete platform for APIs. Okay, now just in case you are completely new to API and web services, and you want to also understand the basics of web services, what are web services, what are SOAP web services, REST web services, what is the difference, and what are the basics of web services. For that, you can go on my website or on my YouTube channel. So this website will also take you to my YouTube playlists, but the only thing is here I have created sections, so it is easy for you to see the different sections and categories. So you can see there is a section for APIs here. Okay, and here you will find the very first section. Here is API web services basics. It will take you to my YouTube playlist on web services. You can also directly go to this playlist from my channel Automation Step by Step, and here you can see what are web services, what are SOAP and REST web services, WSDL, UDDI, all this you can check here. Okay, so this is just for in case you want to go and learn the basics of web services. else you can just continue from here. So let us start Postman, and we will first go to the Postman website, which is postman.com. So here you can go to Google and search for Postman, and this will take you to this website. This is www.postman.com. So when I go here, this is the home page, and here you can see this tells us all the information about Postman. Okay, and here you will find a sign up or sign in link at the top corner, and the first thing we will have to do is do a sign up. So in case you do not have already created an account, you will have to create an account, and for that we will click on sign up, and it will take us to the sign up page here. Okay, so here you will have to give your email and create a username, also create a password, and then sign up. So let me give some email here. I will give some username here and create a password, and I will create a free account. So all the work we are going to do in this lecture will be on the free account. Okay, so it takes us to this page, and you can give your name and select your role here, and then say continue, and this will take us to our. So here it is asking us, do I want to select or join some team? For now I will click on skip now. I don't want to join any teams, and this takes us to the Postman homepage. And at this time you may also receive a email on the email account that you have used, and you may get a link to verify your account, so you can also do that. Now here let me first go to the settings. So if you at the top here you will find settings, and I will click on settings here, and here we have themes, and here you can set the theme. So if you like dark theme or light theme, you can set it from here, and this will be more clear for the demo. So I'm using the light theme, and you can see this I am using on the web browser itself. So this Postman has opened on my web browser itself. Just in case you want to download for your operating system and then use it, you can go to download Postman, and here it will show you download option for your operating system. So here I'm using Mac, it is showing me for Mac. If I go to Windows, so here I'm on my Windows, and if I again go and search for Postman here and go to this link, you can see here on postman.com itself I'm getting option to download for Windows, Mac, Linux. And if I specifically go to Postman download, I will say Postman download here. If I go here, it will show me the download option for my operating system. So this is Windows 64-bit. Also you can check, you can go to your my computer or this PC on Windows and do a right click and go to properties, and then here if you go to about this PC, you will see the details. So here it is showing me mine is 64-bit operating system. So in any ways it will check what is your operating system, and accordingly it will show you the option to download the app. And if you want, you can download the desktop app and install Postman on your desktop and then run it. Otherwise, if you want to continue on the web browser, you can continue on the web browser, and the features are same. So in case there will be any difference, I will let you know. So it's your wish if you want to use a desktop app or want to use on the web browser. Okay, so we have already done step number 2. We have created account, we have verified the email account, we can download or continue using Postman on the web browser, and we are already logged into our Postman account. Okay, now once you have Postman up and running on your system, or if you have already logged in on the web browser on your Postman account, we will go and explore some features of Postman. So this is our Postman, and here You can see at the top we have some options here: home, workspaces, API network, and some options are here. Then we have a sidebar here. So this thing at the top where you see the all these options, this is called the header. And here we can go to home, then we have workspaces, then we have API network here. Then there is a search box, and here you can search across your Postman across your account, and we can also search for in particular sections. For example, if I say create user and I want to search it in APIs or requests, I can just click on requests and it will search for create user in the request section only. So this is how we can use search box. Then if you want to invite somebody, your team or some other people to your account or collection, you can click on this. Then we have settings here. We have notifications. If you receive any notifications, you will get them here. Then here is your user account. You can click and manage your user account. You can go to settings, view a profile and all the things. And then here you will see an option to upgrade, and also you can check what is the your allowed limits for this particular account. So we are using a free account, and you can see the APIs, manual runner, collection runners, runs, storage, usage, all these options, and then all these things you can check here. Okay, then here this is the sidebar, and here you will see options like collections, environment, history, and then you can customize this sidebar. So if you click here, configure workspace sidebar, you can customize it. So you can here click on what all things you want to see on the sidebar. For example, all this is already available. Whatever is checked here, you can see collections, environments. If you want to see APIs, mock servers, monitors, you can check them here, and whatever you check here will come here in the sidebar. Okay, then we can also create a customized theme for our workspace from here. So all this you can do. You can also make this workspace private or public. So let's say I want to make this public, so I can say anyone on the internet, or if you want to keep it private, you can do that. Okay, also we can create more workspaces. We will learn more about that. Then this area is the builder area. When we start working with our requests, when we start creating our requests, you will see, let me first go back to settings. I don't know why it has changed back to dark mode. I will go to settings, themes, and set this here. Okay, so once we start creating our requests, you will see a request section here, a response section here, where we can build our requests, run and check them. So this is called the builder area. And then at the bottom we have the status bar. Now at the bottom in the status bar, you can see options like collapse sidebar. So if I click this, the sidebar will get collapsed or expanded. So we can collapse or expand. Then here you can see if all your work is in sync. So whatever you do on your account will be in sync. Even if you are using Postman desktop app or on the browser, everything will be kept in sync. Then this is console. So when we run our requests, we can see the console, and we can see the logs there, console logs. Then we have a runner here. So here this is a runner. This is a collection runner. We will learn about it later. Then we have option to capture requests here, auto select agent. Then we have cookies here. You can manage and sync cookies. Then vault, in case you want to store some secrets, passwords, you can use the vault. Then we have trash, so it will show you your trash, and if you delete anything, it will come in the trash and it will be removed from the trash in 30 days. So before that, if you want to restore anything that you have deleted, you can restore from the trash. Then you have two pane view and single pane view. This will be in you can see this in action when we have our requests. So we can have our request and response side by side or in a single pane, up and down. And then we have this help option, where you can go to documentation, support, community, and also see keyboard shortcuts. Okay, and then if I show you the settings very quickly, when I go to settings here and go to settings, you can see there are general settings, themes, shortcuts, etc. So in the general settings, you can set the request timeout, max response size, etc. You can also change the font size. So you can change the font size from here and all these general settings. Then themes we have seen, you can see the keyboard shortcuts here. We can also import export data from here. Then we have add-ons here. We have certificates, proxy settings, and about Postman. Okay, so this is the details. So this part is the header part. Then this is our sidebar, and this is our builder area. Okay, this is builder area, and then at the bottom, this is our status bar. Okay, at the bottom, this is the status bar. So this is the GUI of Postman. If you want, you can take a screenshot and keep it handy with you. Okay, so we have header at the top, and we have these options in the header. We have some menu options, and then settings and notifications and accounts, search. Then in the sidebar, we see all these collections, environments, history. We can also manage and customize the sidebar. Then this is the builder area where we will create and run our requests. And the bottom, we have the status bar where we have options to see the console logs, switch to two pin, single pin view, see or hide the sidebar, go to the test runner or collection runners, manage cookies, trash, etc. Okay, all right. So now we have seen all this, and we have also seen the features. So we are now ready to work with Postman, and we will now start with our first API request. Okay, so we will see how to add API request and how to run and check the response. And as always, we will go step by step and start from scratch. So here, step number one is we will create a HTTP request and then select the HTTP method. Now here to create a request, we have two options. You can go to your, so make sure you are on your workspaces first. So if you are on your home, go to this workspace here, and then select your workspace. So you will come here, and then here you will see option new. So we can click here, and we can get options to create a HTTP request. We have other options as well to create collection environments, flow, workspace, etc. We want HTTP request, so you can go here and click here. If you are using the desktop app of Postman, you will also find a top menu, file, new, etc. So when you go to file new, you will get an option to create a new request, or you can directly come here and you can click on this new tab button, that is a plus button, which will create a new tab. And when you click here, it will create a new request. So these are the different ways to create a new HTTP request. And then here we have different sections of the request. First, we will select the HTTP method. So we can have a get request, a post request, put, patch, delete. Get is to read or get some information from the server. Post is to create a new resource on the server. Put is to modify or update the resource. Patch is for some partial modification. Delete is to remove. So we have all these methods. So we will create user get request. Then here we give the API endpoint or the URL. Then we have different sections here, parameters of the request, authorization if there is any, headers of the request, body is needed for post and put requests, and then scripts, and then settings. And then after creating our entire request, we have an option to save the request here, and then we can run from using this send button. And then later if you want to share, we can also use the share button here. Okay, so now If you have your own APIs and you are authorized to test them, you can use them, or if you do not have your own APIs, we can get something from online. So if I go and search for sample API for testing, so here you can see some options are here. We have this REQRES, dummy REST API example is here. Then we have the sample APIs. So any of these you can check. Okay. So we have this one, REQRES. Here are some sample APIs. This also has some APIs, and then this also has. So for now, for this session, I will go to this reqres.in. This is the link, and here you can see there are some REST APIs that we can use. These are some dummy APIs. We have all different examples: get, post, put, delete, all this we can use. So here, let us go to, I will use this get request, which is getting a single user. So click here, and then it shows us the API endpoint here, the request endpoint, the status code, and also a sample response that we should get. So this is what we will use. We have already selected get in the HTTP method. Now for the URL, we have to use this. Now we have to give the complete endpoint. For that, you can append this endpoint to this URL, or you can just click and open in a new tab, and whatever you get here, you can copy the entire thing and paste it here. Okay, so we have got this here. Now the next thing is we will go to parameters. In case your API has any parameters, you can give them here, or it can directly take as well. Then we have authorization. So if there is any authorization, any username, password, tokens required to run your APIs, you can go here, and you can see we have different types of authorizations, and everything is available here, whether it is a basic auth, a token based authorization, OAuth, OAuth 2.0, everything is here. Okay, and let's say if your API requires basic auth, that is username and password, you can give it here. Now in this case, it is a demo dummy API. We do not need any authorization here. Now there is a question I get a lot of times: why do we have authorization in APIs and not authentication? So here we have in APIs, or in general, we have two things: authentication and authorization. Okay, so authentication is who you are, and authorization is what you can do or what you are allowed to do. Okay, so let's take an example. Suppose somebody comes to your home, you hear the doorbell, and you open your door and you see there is someone who you know, maybe some friend or family member or some relative. So you know them, so you will allow them to enter your house. So they are authenticated because you have verified you know them, and you have allowed them to enter into your house. Now after they enter, there are some places they can go, like the living room, the garden, the swimming pool. They can go all these places, but there are some other places like your bedroom, your kitchen. They cannot go there. If they go to your kitchen and start opening your fridge, or go to your bedroom, you will say that you are not allowed or you are not authorized to come here. Okay, so similarly, let us say when you want to enter a website, you will have to log in. You have to give your username, password, and login. So that means you are authenticated. You can go inside the website, but then there are some areas of the website you can go, but there are some other areas like the admin area or some other secure areas that you are not allowed to go unless you are an admin user. So you are not allowed to go to that particular area, and you are not authorized. So that is the difference between authentication and authorization. Now, why do we have authorization in APIs and not authentication? That is because if you see this URL, we generally have an endpoint or a URL that we want to go to. This is accessing a particular resource on the server. So here it is going to this particular server and going to the user's resource and accessing a particular user. So that means it is accessing a particular area, a particular section, or a particular resource, and therefore we have to authorize the user or whoever is running this request, so that we know that they are authorized to access this. And whenever we do authorization, authentication anyways happen, but here we are actually doing authorization. Therefore, you will always see authorization in terms of APIs and not authentication. Okay. So this is authorization. Then we have headers. So if you have any headers that will go along with your request, you can give them here. So generally in headers, we give something like content type. We tell what is the type of content we are sending, whether it is text or JSON or something else. Then we can also have header like accept, what format we want to accept from the server, whether we want to accept a JSON format or a text format. So different types of authentication, different types of headers are there that we can send along with our request. And then if you click on this 5 hidden, you will see there are some hidden headers that always go, or these are some by default headers that will go. Body we do not need for a get request, we will need it for post and put. Scripts, so scripts in Postman is where you can add JavaScripts. We have pre-request and post response. Pre-request scripts will get executed before the actual request is executed, and post response will get executed after we get the response. So generally all the validations, all the tests we have to create, we put here in the post response section. So this we will learn in the script section. Then we have settings here. If you have to do any kind of settings like SSL certificate validation, if you want to set the HTTP version, follow redirects, all these is here. You can manage cookies and TLS, SSL protocols, all this you can set here. Okay. We also have this option for cookies here. So if you click here, you can manage cookies in case you have to. And that's it. This is how you will create your request, and then you can just click on this send button. We also have this drop down that says send and download. It will run the request and also download the response, but as of now I will just click on the send button and let us see. So here, yes, we have got the response, and you can see we have got the response, and here it says the response is we have got the status code 200. Okay, this is the time taken 2.2 seconds. This is the size of the response, and then we also have these network details here, and we have option to save the response to a file or clear the response. Then here you can see the response body, different formats you can see. Then you can see the cookies, the response headers are here, and in case you add any tests, the test results will come here. As of now we have not created any tests. Okay, also you can see here is a two pane view. We have a request at the top and response at the bottom, but if you want to change this in a single this is a single pane actually, where we have request and response. In case you want to change it to a side by side view or a two pane view, you can go to the bottom status bar, and here you can see there is a option for two pane view here. So if I do this, you can see request and response side by side, but I will change it back to single pane. Okay, so this is how you can create your first API request. We have done all these steps. We first created the HTTP request, then we selected the HTTP method, we added the API URL or endpoint, then we added all the other sections, header, authorizations. Then for put, post we need body, but for get we don't need any body. We saved and run, and then we checked the response, and this is running fine. Now also after running, you may have to save it, you may want to save it, so you can go to this save button here, and when you this will save to a collection. Although we will have a separate section for collection, but just to keep this request saved, I will click on save, and here you can give some request name. I will say this is create user. And if you do not have any collection, if you have some collections, it will give you option to select the collection, but if you do not have, it will create a new collection. So I will say this is I will say my collection 1. You can give it any name. Okay, so collection will group your requests together, making them easier to manage and run. So I will save it, and now you will see in the collections this has come my collection 1, and this API is saved here. Also, if you want to see all your earlier runs, you can go to history, and it will show you all the earlier runs. So this is what we ran, and now this is the API we ran. Okay. Okay, now if you want, you can also share your API with others. So you can see this share request. If you click here, it will give you this box where you can give the email IDs and share it. Also, you can see a share via link. So you can directly copy this link and share. Now, in case you do not get this link, that may be because your workspace is not public. So when you go to your workspace, when you go to this configure workspace here, you can select if you want to keep it private or public. So in my case, it is public. You can make it private or update, or again say public, and then you will have an option to share via link. Otherwise, you will always get an option to share with your teams and share with using the email account or email IDs of your team members. Okay, now we have already seen one of the links where we can use some demo APIs. These are some other links that you can try out. We have http://bin.org, fake REST API, and then dummy.rest API example. All this you can try out, or you want to, if you want to use your own APIs, you can do that. Okay. Now let us also see a post request. We have just seen a get request for now. Let us see a post request, and we will see how to add the post request and then run and check the response. So create a new HTTP request and select the method as post. Let us go to our Postman, and I will just go here. Let me close these tabs, and I will go here to create a new request. And this time I will change the method to post here, and then the URL. So let me again go to the same website reqres, and here I will select a post request. Here we have a post request or create. So this is post. So here we have, so if I just show you get, post, put, delete, these are the different HTTP methods. Okay, so these are the different HTTP methods. We have get, post, put, patch, delete, and you can see here also. So get, or let me show you CRUD operations. So here it will be more clear. So here you can see post is to create. So whenever we want to create something, create a new resource on the server, we use post. Get is to read. Whenever we want to just get the information, read something from the server, we use get. Put is to update. When we want to change or modify a resource, we use put. And we also can use patch. The difference is put will replace the resource completely, and patch we use for some minor modifications. Then delete will remove the resource from the server. So these are the HTTP methods, and we say CRUD or CRUD. C is for create, then read, update, delete. Okay, so this is what. And also we have, if I search for HTTP status codes, and let me show you this one. We have different HTTP status codes. All the 100s are information status codes. All the 200s are the successful status codes. In this case, for a get, post, put, we normally get 200 OK status code, as we have seen in our earlier request. But when we run a post request which will create the resource, we get 201 successful status code. That means 201 is for created. Okay, this is generally what we should get for a create request. Sometimes we still get 200. This depends on how the developers have implemented the APIs, but generally we should get 201 for successful creation. Then the 300s are for redirection. Whenever there is any redirection of our request or response, we get 300s status code. And then whenever there is some client error from the client side, we get status code in 400s. And then if we have any error from the server, we get 500s status code. Sometimes the server is not available or not up. All these things we can get in 500 status codes. Okay, so this is good for understanding. For post, now I will take a post request here, which is create, and I will first copy the endpoint or the URL of the request and paste it here. Then the other things, if we have any parameters, authorization, headers, we will add them. For this API, we don't need all of these. We will go to the body section, and body we will need a body for post because we want to create the resource and we have to give the data that we will use for creating. So this is what is called as the request body. It is also called as payload. So it is the same thing, request body or payload. Okay. Now for this, I will just copy this request body from here, and this I will select raw here and paste it here. Now this is a JSON type, so therefore it has already taken JSON here. Otherwise you can change from here manually. And also you can, in case the formatting is not correct, let us say I put this comma somewhere, I change or disturb this formatting, I can click on this beautify and it will correct the formatting. Also, if you want to change the font, you can go to settings and go to general, and here you will see the font. You can change it from here. Okay, let me give some other values here. I will say name Raghav job teacher, and that's it. Scripts as of now we don't need, or if you want to add some validations or tests, you can go to post response, and let us say I want to check the status code is 201. So you can create a test here. We will learn more about it in the test section, but you can say pm.test and then create your test, or we already have some snippets here. So we have a snippet. So I will search for a snippet. Here it is, status code 200. I will use this, click on this, and we get a test here. I will have to change it to 201 for a successful post response. Okay, then settings, we don't need anything here. I will now click on send and it will run, and let us see. And yes, we have got the response here, and here we get 201 created. This is the time, size, we have got the network logs here, and then here we have the request body or the response body, the cookies, headers, and then the test results. So this time we had created a test and we are getting the test as pass. We can also see these filters here. Okay, now I can click on save, and this is directly going to my workspace here. I will give the request name create user. Okay, and I will click on save. It has come to my collection here. Okay, so we have done step number 3, 4, 5, and we have ran and checked everything is running fine. Okay, so this is how we can run a post request. Let us also see a put and patch. Now I have already told you the difference between put and patch is, put and patch both are for changing or modifying the resource or updating the resource. In case of put, we completely replace the resource with the new data that we send in the body, but in case of patch it is some minor changes and we do not completely replace the resource. So let us see how do we create put and patch API requests. So we will create a new request and then we will select the method, put for complete modification or complete replacement, patch is for partial updating. So I'll click on this plus button to create a new request. I will first create a put request, and here I have to give a URL. So I will go to a put example. Here it is, put update. This is what I am using. I will copy this endpoint and paste it here. Now if you see these endpoints, you can see whenever we are getting or changing a resource, it is pointing to a particular resource. So in this case you can see it is going to the user's resource and pointing to a particular user with ID 2. So this is what we are changing. If I go to create, again you can see this is the same thing. We are getting the details of a particular user. However, if I go to post, here we just are saying that in the user's resource we want to create something, or we want to create a new user. So we are just pointing to that particular section, and then in the response we get the new user created with a new ID. Okay, so this all I have explained in very detail in this REST API web services. Just in case you want to learn more, you can watch this. Also the difference between authentication and authorization I had explained in one of the videos. Authentication, and yes, this is the video. If you want, you can check this one. Why do we have authorization and not authentication in API requests. You can check this one if you want to. Okay, so this is we are working on the put request. I have given the endpoint or the URL. Now parameters, authorizations, body, header. So in this case we need a body. I will go back to my request and we have a body here. So this will completely replace the resource with the new data or payload we are sending. Here again, if I want, I can change this, or I can give some other name here. Then scripts settings, I can click on send, and yes, we have got status code 200 and all these details are here. We have got the response here. Now I can save it to my collection. I will say this is update user. Now in case of patch, I will again go and create a new request and say patch. Here I will select this patch request which is for update. I will copy the URL. Again it is pointing to a particular user or a particular resource, and here again I have to give a body, but let us say this time I will just want to, let's say I want to just change the name of the user here, and I will say this, and I will click on send. So you can see this has partially modified the resource and everything is working fine. I will save it. I will call it as partially update user, which is a patch request, and save it. You can see all these requests have come here in my collection. Also, if I go to the history, I will see all these runs I have done. Okay, so this is how we can create and run put and patch API requests. Okay, now let us also see a delete API request, and again here we will create a new request and select the method as delete. So I'm going to create a new request, select method as delete, and here I will give the endpoint. So I'm going to this delete example. Again this is pointing to a particular user which I want to delete, and that's it. Here in this case I don't need any body, anything. I just need to point to a particular resource, a particular user in this case that I want to delete. And in case of a successful delete operation, we should get the status code as 204. That means no content, and that means the content was removed. That means the deletion was successful. So let us say I will now run this and check, and yes, I have got 204 no content. That means it is fine, and I can now save it to my collection. I will say delete user and save, and it is saved here. Okay, so we are able to create a delete request. We have added all the things and we have checked it is running fine. Okay, so I hope until here it is all fine. You can do hands-on, and whenever you face any issues, you can let me know. You can send me your comments whenever you want to discuss anything from this, from the topics I am teaching, or even in general, if you want to discuss or ask any questions, you can use the comment section and send me the comment. Now we will go to collections in Postman, and we will see what is collection, how to create collection, how to create folders inside collection, how to arrange requests inside collection, how to bring your collection to the top. We will also see how you can fork or copy the collection, how you can manage and different features of collections we will see here. Okay, and we will go step by step from scratch. So in very simple words, collection is a group of API requests. You can see here we have created all these API requests under this collection. So now it is very easy for me to manage these API requests under a single collection, and I can also run the collection itself, which will run all the API requests. And there are some other features which I will show you. So here, let me first show you. If I go to the collection, first thing is, whenever you have to create a new collection, you can go to new here. You can click here, create a new collection on this plus button, or you can go to new here, and we get an option to create a new collection here. If I click here, it will ask me for a name. I'm saying new collection or one, or whatever name you want to give, you can give here, and then you can create the collection. And you can also give some description about this collection. You can also view the documentation of the collection. For now, let me go back to the collection we have been using. So I click here, so it goes to this collection details overview. So here is the name of the collection. I can add some description. It shows you when did you create it, created by whom, etc. Then we have authorization. Now this is very handy in case all the requests that you have inside your collection, if they are using some common authorization, you can give the authorization at once at the collection level. Okay, so here the authorization method will be used for every request in this collection. Okay, and in case any request inside the collection does not want to use this authorization, then you can give the authorization in the request itself, and that will be, this authorization will be overridden by the authorization you give in the request. Otherwise all the requests will use this authorization. Then again we have script section in the collection. Like we had for the request, we have pre-request, post response. Now here the pre-request, if we add any scripts here, they will run before running any request in the collection. Post response will run after running all the requests and after getting all the responses from all the steps or all the requests of the collection. We have variable section. Now here we can create variables at a collection level. We will learn more about this when we go to the variable section. So here, this is where we create collection variables, and then we have runs. This will take us to the collection runner, and here you can see we can do functional runs. So we can just run all our APIs in this collection. We can also schedule the runs, or we can also do performance testing of the APIs inside this collection. So let me show you. If I go to functional and say run collection, I'll close this. I'll just say run collection. Here it shows me all the API requests for this particular collection, and here I can select or deselect all. I can also select particular APIs from here, and then here we have the options. If you want to run manually, if you want to schedule or automate runs via CLI, I will say manually for now. We can then set the iterations, how many iterations, how many times you want to run. I will let us say 2 times. In case you want to have some delay between the requests, I can add the delay. This is in milliseconds, so if I say 1000, it means 1 second. Let us say I will say 400 or 500, that means half a second delay. In case you are using any data file, if you are doing any data driven testing and want to use any data file, we can select from here, and then we have all these advanced sections. If you want to turn off logs, persist responses, then stop if error occurs, keep variable values, save cookies, all these options are here, and then I will click on run my collection 1. So you can see it is running, and it will run 2 times. This is iteration 1, and iteration 2 has started here. So it is now running all the requests of this collection. Okay, and you can see the details here. We have the source runner, environment, iterations, duration, tests, etc., average response time. Then you can see here we get all test, passed, failed, skipped. Now this green or red color that you see here will be there only when you have tests in your requests. If you do not have any test, it will be just a gray color and it will say no tests found. Okay, if I see view summary, again you can see this is how it will look like. This API request had a test, and therefore it is showing me in green because it has passed. Otherwise other APIs do not have any tests. I can say view all runs, and it will show me the runs here. Okay, then we have scheduled runs. We can schedule the runs from here. So I can select the APIs. This is the same thing as we have seen earlier. Then here I can click on schedule runs. Then I can give a name to my schedule run, and then we can set the frequency, how you want to run, weekly, hourly, and then we can say every day at this particular time. All that we can say, run configuration, environment, iterations. If you want to use a file, then we also have the email notifications. So whenever you want to get email notifications, you can give the email IDs here. And then we have some advanced settings. So it is also says stop notifications after maybe 2 consecutive failures, 3 consecutive failures, because sometimes the failures may be because the server is not up, there is some environment issue, so we don't want to keep on receiving email notifications. So we can set this. Advanced settings are here, and then we can schedule the runs from here. Okay. Then we have, if I go back to the runner, or I'll go to the collection and I'll go to runs, we have performance testing here. Okay, so we can run our performance test as well. If I click on run performance test, it will take us to this section. Now here, if you see here, it is saying we need a desktop app. So in case of performance testing, we need a desktop app because it will be using your system resources. So for that, you can download a desktop app and you can log in to your account. So whatever we have done here in the on the browser of in the Postman app, the same things you will find on the desktop app as well. So let us say if I open my Postman desktop app, so here I have my desktop app of Postman, and if I sign into my same account, I will give the email and password and sign in. So here it will sign into my account, and here you will find here, let me very quickly first change the go to settings and change the theme. Okay. Here you can see it has got all the changes that we had done in from the web app or from the web browser. We have got all our requests and collections. And now if I go to runs from here and go to performance, I will say run performance test, and here you can set the load profile, fixed, ramp up, spike, peak, whatever you want to use. Let us say I will say ramp up, I want to, let us say, use 10 virtual users, or for now I will say 5. Test duration I can say maybe 0.5 or 1 minute. I think it will take in minutes, so I will say 1 minute. And then you can say initial load, how much many users you want to start with, let us say 2. So all this you can set here, and then you can click on run. It will start the performance test. Now when you do performance test, it will also depend on the machine you are doing performance test on, because it will be dependent on the configuration of the machine, the RAM, the CPU, etc. So generally when we do performance test, we use a separate machine with some good configuration that it can hold and withstand the performance test. In case of APIs, we don't need so many resources. When we do UI performance testing, we still need a really good configuration, RAM, CPU, etc. In case of APIs, it is good where it is very light, but still if you want to do a real performance test with thousands and multiple thousands of users, it is advised that you use a separate system, separate machine with the required configuration. And with Postman, it is very easy. You just have to go to any system, you can log into your account and you can get all your data and can start the performance test. So you can see here it is running the performance test. You can see the total request send, request per second here. Then we can see the average response times here. We can see the error rates. This is how it is running. This is the milliseconds. This is it is in milliseconds, and this is the time. We can see all the details here as of now. This is all what we have here. Performance details for total duration. And then if you run multiple times, you can compare the runs. So you can see we have compare runs. So let us say if I, as of now I have a single run. If I run again, I can compare the runs as well. Okay, so this has started the run. Here you can see the details. This is running for my collection with 5 virtual users, and this is the time, ramp up, etc. This is in progress. Here we can also see the time and the time left, the progress here. Okay, we can also, if you want to stop, we can stop from here. Here we can see, we can filter, these are the filters and the different metrics we can check here. And here you can see the tabular view with all the details here. Okay, now it is done. And now if I want to compare, I will say compare runs. And here you can see we can compare, we can select the runs to compare with, and here you can see the comparison like this. Okay, and here also you can see the comparison. So it will be very handy, very useful to see if your performance has increased or decreased, or how is your performance. So it can be very handy to do the performance test like this. Okay, and it will, for performance test you will have to switch to the desktop app, otherwise you can continue with your browser. Okay, so we have seen all this, and if I go back my collection, we have seen this overview, authorization scripts, variable runs. You can also see at the top here we have some more options to save your collection. We have run, we have fork here, so this can be very handy. Suppose you are working on a collection along with your team, you and your teams are working on the same collection, and suppose you want to do some changes, try out some things, and you don't want to disturb the original collection. In that case you can create a fork. That means you can create a copy for yourself. It will create a copy for yourself of the collection, and then you can try out your things, you can make the changes, and if you want you can then again merge the changes, or you can just try out on a separate copy. Okay, you can follow a collection, you can say watch. We can also share the collection, so we can share via Postman, we can also share via API with people, and also we have the options here for sharing. Then here we have some other options, export, delete, etc. Okay, now we have seen all these options. If I go back to my collection here, and if I select the collection, and we have this star button, so in case you want to make your collection as favorite, you can click on this, and this will also move your collection to the top. So let us say I go to this collection and click here. Let us say now nothing is marked. I will go here and click on this star. You can see it has come to the top. So it is very handy. Sometimes there are a lot of collections on your sidebar and you want to work with this one particular collection. You can click on the star and it will come to the top, and then you can work on it. Then if I again select the collection from here and click on these three dots, you can see some more options. We have share, we have move. This will be used to move the collection within your workspaces. Like you can move it to a different workspace. Then we have a option for running the collection. Again, this will take us to the collection runner where we have all these options, functional, performance, schedules. Then we have edit. So if I go here, it will take me to the overview where I can edit the name, description, etc. Then we have add request. Now if I go here and click on add request, here it will give us a tab to create a new request, and it will directly get saved in the collection. So we will not have to save the request separately. It will directly come here. Then we have option to add folder. We can create folders in the collection, and then in the folders as well we have option for authorization and scripts. So we can move our requests in different folders for creating categories or organizing them, and then we can also set an authorization for the folder, and all the requests will follow this authorization, and we can also have scripts for the folder. So if we run these scripts, it will run, this will run before all the requests of that folder, this will run after getting all the responses from the requests of that folder. Okay, so as of now I can delete this folder. Okay, then we have option to create a monitor. We can monitor our collection, so we can create a monitor, and we can select the frequency, weekly, every day, at what time, and then we can also receive email notification if there are any failure. So that means whatever time you set, it will run the collection and it will monitor everything is fine. If there are any problems, it will send you email notifications. Okay, then we have option to mock collection. So we can also mock our collection. We can create a mock. Okay, then we have option to create a fork, which we have already discussed. Then we can see the change log, whatever has happened on our collection we can see here. So you can see all the changes and all the logs here, change log. Then we can go to view documentation, and here if you make sure your collection is saved, and here you can see all the details. You can also select the language from here, and then you can check everything and then click on publish here. So if I click on publish, it will publish the collection, and then I can go to preview documentation, and this is how my collection will look like. You can also share this URL with anyone, and you can now see this is how my collection looks like. I can go to any of the requests here. All my requests are here and all the examples are here. Okay, I can also change it from here. Okay, and then we can also directly run in Postman from here, from this documentation. Okay, I can go to the dark mode or light mode, and I can also go to the settings, and all this I can do in the documentation. Okay, so this can be very handy. Okay, again if I go to the details here, I can rename collection, I can duplicate collection, I can also export collection and then delete. And if you delete anything in your workspace, that will go in your trash, and you can go to your trash from these three dots here and say open trash, or you can also go to the bottom status bar and we have got this trash option here. So I can go to trash from here, and whatever you delete will come here, and you will also have an option to recover it or restore it within 30 days. Otherwise it will be permanently deleted, or you can directly come here and permanently delete whatever you have deleted. So I'll go back to the workspace, and these are all the details about collection. Okay, so after learning all this about collections, we will go to variables, and this will be very easy and very interesting. So we will learn what are variables, why and when to use variables, how to create variables, how to refer variables. So here, what are variables? Variables are key value pairs. So we can have some key name or a variable name and then its value. So here we have a variable called name and its value here, and variables can store different values. Even if I want to change this value in the future, I can change it. So I can access the values anytime, anywhere, just using the name of the variable. Okay, and why do we need variables? So suppose we are using some particular value in our requests multiple times. Let us take an example. We are using this URL at multiple places in multiple APIs. Let us say we are using 50 APIs or 100 APIs, and we are using this URL or this particular value in all these APIs. Now let us suppose some changes happen in this particular value. We will have to go to each and every place and make the changes. Okay, which will be very difficult, it will be error prone, it will not be very efficient. So in this case, what we can do is we can create a variable. So let's say we created a variable called URL and we added the value here, and now this variable we will refer or we will store at all the places wherever we need this value. Okay, so this value will be referred from this variable at all the places where we need the value. Now let us suppose if anything changes here, I just have to go to one place wherever I have defined this variable and make the change at one place only, and then it will be referred to everywhere wherever it is used. So it makes our work very easy, very efficient, and less error prone. So let us take an example. I will go back to my requests and let us see our requests. So in our request, let us take the URL or the endpoint. You will see that some part of the endpoint is common in all the requests. So if you see, this part is common in all the requests here. Okay, so let us say I will take this part and I can create variables at different levels. I can go to collection and go create variables. If I go to this environment quick look icon, here you can see we can create global variables here. Let me show you again. Yes, we can create global variables here. Also, we can create environments and create environment variables. This I will show you later. As of now, I am going to collection and going to the variables tab. And here I will create a variables, let us say URL, and then I will give the value. And now here you can see we have two columns. One is current value and then initial value. So current value is what will be displayed to you, what will be visible to you and not anyone else, and you can use it, you can try it from here, you can use it. So if you just give the value here, it will work. You don't have to give anything in the initial value. But after that, when you want to share the value, when you have worked and you have checked everything is working fine and you want that you can now share the value, you can also mention it in the initial value as well. Or you can just go here to these three dots and say persist all. So when you click on this, you can see this is also populated with the same value. Or if you don't want to keep it here, it's okay. You can just keep it here for now. Okay. Make sure that you save. We have created a variable called URL. Now, after you have saved, go back to your request wherever you want to use it. And now this part, I will remove the hard-coded part, and to refer the variable, we use double curly brackets, and you can see I'm already getting this option. This variable is collection variable. It shows C here, that means it is a collection variable, and I can manually add it or I can just select from there. Also, when you hover over here, it should show you this, that this is a variable from collection and this has the initial and current value. So that means the reference is successful. In case you're not getting auto suggestion, that means maybe you have not created it properly here. There may be some typo or something, or you have not saved your collection. So make sure that you save and then you come here and do it. And I will save it, and let me just run and check if it is running fine. And yes, it is running fine. That means it is working. I can go to other APIs as well and make this change here as well. I will remove this hard-coded part and I will use the variable, save and run, and it is able to refer and it is running fine. So you can now understand and imagine, let us say this URL is used in 50 or 80 APIs, and suppose it there is some change from the backend, and maybe here in place of API I have to use API 2 now. So now I just have to make changes here at a single location, and everywhere it will be now referred. I don't have to go to each and every API and make the change. Okay, so this is why we need variables, and we have already seen this. We can reuse the value at multiple locations, and if changes occur, we only have to change at a single location. Okay, now we have also discussed this. Whenever we have some value which is used at multiple places and is used repeatedly, it is a good idea to extract out that value, to externalize and store it in a variable, and then refer the variable wherever it is used, so that whenever we have any change, we can manage it easily, and then also it will make our work easy and efficient. So we can extract out all the common values and keep it at one place, or keep them in variables at wherever you want to create. And we have already seen a quick demo. Now we have seen as of now a demo by creating variable at a collection level. As I have shown you, you can go here to the environment quick look icon, and we can create variables at a global level. So if I go to globals and say add, I can create variables here. You can see the same things here. I can say something here, endpoint, or let us say name, and here we have options, initial, current value. Here if you want to mask your values, you can make it a secret. So when now I will type, it will be masked, or otherwise make it keep it default. And then whatever you create here at a global level, they will be available to your entire workspace. You can use them anywhere. Okay, so you can create at global level, or you can use anywhere in your Postman. Then we also have environment. We will learn more into this in detail when we go to environment section. So we can create multiple environments in Postman, and then we can create variables there. So we will learn more about this. Also, you can also create variables at a script level. So when you go to any of the scripts section, and if you create any variables here, they will be script variables or local variables, and we will also see this in the coming part. So here the variables have different scopes. We can have global variables, we can create variables at collection level, environment level, data variables as well. So in case we use any data file when we are doing data driven testing and we are referring some values from our data file, so these are will be data variables, and then whatever we create in scripts will be script variables or local variables. Now these have different they can be referred at different sections like requests. We can refer within scripts, in collection or environment as well. As of now, we have seen an example of how to refer these in request, but we can also refer anywhere in scripts, collection or environment. And then these have priority as well. So for example, if you have variable created at different levels or scopes with the same name, let us say you have created a variable in environment by the name username, and you have also created a variable in collection by the same name username. In that case, environment variable have higher priority than collection variable. So I will show you this in the coming part when we get set variables through scripts. So local variable or the script variables have the highest priority, then data variables, then environment, then collection, and then global. Okay, so this is how the priority looks like. If you want, you can take a screenshot and keep it handy with you. Now let us see how we get and set variables through scripts. So here we will see step by step how to get variables through scripts, how to set variables through scripts, and this will be very easy and very interesting. So here I can go to any requests or any script section, and we can add the scripts to get and set variables. Okay, so let us see. I will go to, let us say I go to this create user, and here you can see I go to the script section of this API or request, and here we have pre-request post response scripts. You can create it anywhere. Let us say I go to this pre-request, and here I can now say set and get variables. If I want to set a variable at a global level, I can say pm.globals.set. So I will say pm.globals.set. Also, if you see here, if you see in the snippets, we have options to get a variable, get a global variable, and then set a variables at different levels, global, collection, environment. I will click on this, set a global variable, and I get this snippet auto generated. Now here I can set some key and value. Let us say I will say name, and I will give some value. Let us say Rutherford. Okay, and I will save. And now when I run this request, it will run the pre-request, and then if I go and check in my global variables, I have got a variable created by name and value is Rutherford. Okay, similarly I can create at collection level. So I can say I can just select from here, set a collection variable. I will say here name, and let us say I will say value is Ramanujan, and save and run. Now this time when I go to the collection and go to variables, I can see we have got variable name and value Ramanujan. Okay. Similarly, I can create at environment level. I can say pm.environment.set. Now in this case, if I am doing like this, I should have the environment selected. So if you see here, so let me first try it out. I will say set environment variable. I will say name, and I will say Einstein, and say save and run. So you can see as of now I don't have any environment selected, so therefore it will not run. Also, if you check the console, if you go to the status bar and click on console here, I will clear and run it. So here you can see as of now we are not getting anything here, so that means it is not create it. So for that I will have to first go and select an environment, and for that I will have to go here and click on add environment. I will say new environment 1 or anything you can say here. And if you want to create variables here manually, you can do that, or as of now I will just create some dummy variable p value 1 and save. And now I can select the environment from this drop down. And now if I go back to my API request, and if I now save and run, and if I now check, you can see a new variable is created here. Okay, similarly I can also create a local variable, that means a script variable. Here I will just say pm.variables.set. So I will say, I can just say set variable or get a variable, and I can just say set here. I will say name and value. I can just save, and I will say send. It will just create the variable. Okay, now similarly we can get the variables. We can just say pm.globals.get for a global variable. If I say get a global variable, I can say name. But how do we check this? For this we will have to print it. So I can use console.log, and in the brackets I can print anything. Let us say I say hello world. So when I run this, it will print hello world on the console. I can check the console from here. Okay, I will clear, save and run, and you can see in the console I am getting hello world printed here. So similarly, if I have to, I will clear the console. If I have to print this, I can put this entire thing in console.log like this, console.log and pm.globals.get name. Or this is JavaScript, so I can first create a variable. I will say let val. We use let to create a variable, and I will, whatever I get here, I will store it in val, and then I can just print this value in console.log. So this is simple JavaScript. Just in case you want to learn more on JavaScript, I have a separate lectures on that. So if you go to my website and go to search for JavaScript, you will find JavaScripts under programming. This will anyways take you to my YouTube playlist. You can directly go to the channel and search for JavaScript and learn it. So this can be very handy. Otherwise it is very simple, and you can also use snippets here. I will now click on send, and you can see it is printing the name here. Okay, similarly for collection variables, you can say pm.collections and then dot get. For environment we can say this. So let me show you. I will say get environment variable name, and then get collection variable name, and to print them I will put them in console.log, and within brackets console.log within brackets like this, and I will clear the console, save and run, and you can see we are getting all these values. And for just getting the local variables, I can say pm.variables.get and the variable name. So I can say pm.variables.get and the variable name, which is name, and to print console.log, and that's it. Save, clear console and run, and you can see I am getting all this here. Okay, now we have earlier seen the priority. So we have seen that the priority is the local variable gets the highest priority, and then the data, and then environment, then collection, and then global. So let us say, as of now, when I run this pm.variables.get name, it is getting me the local variables that I set here to Newton. If I change this variable name and save my script And now if I run again, let us see what happens. So now you can see I'm getting Einstein, and that is because after local we have data which we do not have, and then we have environment. So in the environment we have Einstein, and that is why we are getting Einstein. Now if I just change here as well, if I edit and change this to name 1, now if I run the same script, I will clear and run. So this time we are getting, you can see if I have to save this, I will go here. Okay, I'm already setting it, that's why it is not giving me that one. I will have to first comment this out, and then I will have to also delete this from here, save. And now if I run it, so now you can see it is getting Ramanujan, which is coming from the collection. And then if I again change collection, it will go to the global level. So this is how it will see the priority. Okay. And if you want to remove or unset the variable, you can say pm.environment or whatever level, and then dot unset name. Okay. So this is how you can use it. And to print, we can use console.log that we have already seen. So this is how you can use scripts. You can get and set variables through scripts. Okay, now let us look at environment in Postman, and here we will see step by step from scratch what is environment, why do we need environment, and how to create environment. We will also see how to use environment and how to delete environment. So here environment is a set of key value pairs. Okay, so we already know that environment is a set of key value pairs, or we just create variables in environment. But why do we need this environment? Why do we want to create variables in environment? So let us suppose normally when we do our testing, we have different environments. We can have a QA environment, maybe a regression environment, a sandbox, a pre-prod, a prod environment, and different environments. Now there are, in our requests, there are some values which change with the environment. For example, they may be the URL or the endpoints of the requests, which may change if we have some username, passwords, some keys, some tokens, or maybe some other environment dependent variables that will change with the environment. So in our request, let us say this is my Postman, this is my request, and here I have created this request here, and here this URL, all the other things will remain same, but let us say this URL, if I'm running it on a QA environment, will be something different. If I'm running on a regression environment, will be something different. And in case I'm using some other parameters or maybe some authorization, that will differ. So in this case, if I have to run this API request on different environments, whenever I want to change the environment, I will have to come and make changes here in the request, in the URL, in the tokens or the parameters, authorization, etc. But we don't want to do that. We want to make it very efficient. We don't want to manually change it every time. Therefore, we can create environments in Postman and create the variables for all the values that are dependent on environments or the values that will change with environment. So let us say I go to my this demo APIs, and let us say I go to this post API register user. Okay, and I will copy this URL, and I will create a new API request here. So I'll go to my collection and just create a new request. I will call it as register user, and this is a post request, and this is the URL. Okay, so this is the post request, and I have given the URL. We also have a body, so I'll go to the body and go to raw, add the body, and save the request, and I don't need anything else. That's it, and I can send and check if everything is fine. So this is fine. I am getting a token. This is how I should get the response, and you can see this is I am getting the response like this. Okay, now let's imagine that this URL endpoint is for the QA environment, and this will run as it is. But in case I want to change it change the environment and want to run it on different environment, this has to be changed, or even this email and password has to be changed. So in that case, what I will do is I will go to the environments. I will go to the environments and then I will add an environment. So I can go here and I can first select no environment from here, and then here I will say add, and I will give a name to the environment, let us say QA, and I will add the variables, let us say endpoint, username, password. So I have created these three variables and I will save, and then I will give the data, let us say this is for, this is the endpoint for QA environment. I will go and edit, go here, click on edit, this is QA. I will give the endpoint in the current value, and we have already discussed initial value and current value. Value will be used for you, and it will be visible only to you, and whenever you want to persist it in initial value, you can persist using here persist all, and then whatever is in the initial value will be visible to everyone whoever is watching this collection or workspace. Okay, for now I will keep it in current value. Also, if you are using any secrets or password, you can mask by setting it to secret here. Okay, then I will say this is the email. Again I will go, yes, this is, I will change to email and give the value here and save, and then this is the password. I will again go and save it. Okay, now I will have to refer them. So here in place of this, make sure that you have saved your environment, and then I can say double curly brackets and endpoint. So make sure that you have saved your environment and your environment is also selected here, then only you will be able to refer them like this. So this is coming from the environment. For the email as well, I will say this is the email. I will have to maybe use it like this. And yes, when you hover over it, it is showing me it is coming from environment. And then this one I will have to use password, and yes, it is also coming from environment. I think I should also keep the quotes here so that it will be taken as string. I will save and send just to check if this is working fine, and I think this is not taking it properly. I just to check the endpoint is, I will have to change this. I think it will take the / 2 times. I'm already giving it there, so I should do it like this, and that's it. I will now send and check, and yes, now it is working fine. I am getting this response. Okay, now I can create another environment here. So this is my QA environment. I can now, I will create one more environment. So I will go here and say add environment, and I will say this is, let's say, regression, and I will give the same variables, endpoint, and then email, and then password. Okay, and then I will give the values here. I will save this, and let's say I'll give the values here. So for now I will say, I will go here and select the environment and say edit, this is my email, let me give some other password, and this is the endpoint. Okay, so I will give the endpoint here and I will save it. Okay, I can also make some changes here. Let us say this is, I will make some more changes here. Okay, so let me say this is reg. See, this is, I'm just showing for a demo purpose. Now I will go back to my request. Now, in case I have to now run this on the values with regression environment, I now just have to go and change the environment here from QA to regression, and I will send it, and this will now work on the values with regression environment. Okay, so you can see now I have got this. So this is how environments are very useful, and you can now test your APIs on multiple environments without having to manually come and make changes at each and every API or make duplicate APIs. We just have to externalize or group all the values that will change with environment, and then create variables in environment, and then you can have multiple environments as you want, as you need, and then use it like this. Okay, so we have already seen these are key value pairs. These are variables that we create at environment level. We can refer the variables in requests. We can select the environment from the drop down, and then we can create more environments and execute the requests. Okay, so this is how we can work with environments in Postman. Okay, now we will see scripts in Postman, and here in Postman we can have scripts at different locations or different sections. So if I go to my Postman, we have already seen that we can go to any of the requests, and we can go to the script section of the request. So let's say I'm going to this create user request, and I will go to the script section here, and when we go to script section you will see pre-request and post response sections. So pre-request, if you add any script here, that will run before running the request, and if you add any script in the post response section, that will run after we get the response. So these are all JavaScripts, and we also have snippets to help you here. So you can see all these snippets. You can directly use the snippets and create your scripts here, and you can find scripts at a collection level. If you go to collection, you can see the scripts. If you have any folder inside a collection, let us say I create a new folder in a collection, you will find scripts here also, and then at a request level. Okay, so this is all the locations where we can find scripts, and this is how you can create scripts. We have already seen some scripts while we were learning getting and setting variables, and then we can also create tests in the script sections, and that's what we will see next, the tests in Postman. So in Postman we can create tests in the script section. We will see what are tests, how to create tests at request level, folder level, collection level. And in Postman, as we have seen, we have the post response script section where we can create tests in JavaScript. So if you go to any request and go to the script section and go to post response, this is where we add our tests or we add our validations, and the syntax is we say pm dot test, and then we give the test name and then the other details. And the easy way is I can just go here to the snippets, and let us say I want to create a test to check status code is 200. I will click this and it will check, it will create a test. I can also change this description. This will be shown in the results. So this will check status code is 200, and this is a create user, so I should change this to 201 here. Similarly, I can create more tests. Let us say I want to also check that uh, here I want to check that response time is less than 200 milliseconds, so I can create more tests like this, and I can change this description. I can save now, and then when I click on send, so I think this should be 200 because it is a this is a get request. Okay, so when I click send, I will save and send. Okay, now here I think I will have to change the environment or no environment, and yes, this is done. If I now go to tests, you can see both the tests have failed because status code is not 201 and the response is more than 200 milliseconds. I will change this one, so at least one should pass. I will save and run again, and this time you can see, if you go to the test results section in the response, this one has passed and one has failed because our response time was more than 200 milliseconds. It was 371 milliseconds. Okay, and also all this test results will be visible when you run the collection from the collection runner, and we can create these tests at a collection level. If I go to scripts and post response section, I can create here. If I go to any folder and then go to the script section and then go to the post response section, this will be here. So if I create at a collection level, this will be applicable after running all the requests and getting all the responses, and similarly at a folder level as well. Okay, so this is how we can create tests in Postman. We have already seen these steps. So we can create tests at request level, collection, folder level, and we have seen how to create and run the tests. So I hope this was very useful. If you get any questions, if you have any issues, if you face any problems while doing hands-on, you can let me know in the comment section. I read all my comments and I will reply to all. If you want to discuss anything, you can still let me know in the comment section, and I will see you soon. Thank you for watching and never stop learning.